You ready for start recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm recording. So, what are these games?
I picked out two games. One is 10 to 12Q, and
Okay,
one is 7 to 8Q. Both of these are played on OGS.
okay,
And I thought they'd be interesting. I wanted to talk about like what's the most important place to play because that's like our big theme.
okay.
And then more specifically, how do you know when it's okay to make a new group or if you have too many or too few groups?
Too many or
Then one
too
of the
few?
games,
Okay.
because when one of the games a player made a move that resulted in a new group being created,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the reason it subsequently died was because he already had too many groups,
So,
or
like,
he had the right
too
amount of
many
groups.
weak groups or just too many groups?
I would say too many groups,
Okay.
but the group. So, well, you'll need to see it, but he played a stone that created a new group that was next to a group that was already not alive,
You want to show me
and
the
so that was
position?
yeah, it was kind of a fight, and one of those died. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
I don't actually remember which game it was. If it was the DDK game or the other one. Let me see. I think it was this one.
Okay. Whoa.
Yeah, it was this move.
Connecting.
Let me give you control.
Which move? Connecting?
No, this A move.
I don't see any coordinate just things.
You don't see a letter
Uh-uh.
on
Where's the...
N17?
No, but I can go back to N17.
I see an A. That's weird.
Are you synced with me? Oh, I have it on the move N17, but we weren't on move 17.
Oh,
Oh,
you
but
weren't? Because I was seeing it.
are
I'm
you synced
confused.
with me?
Yeah, I'm synced with you. Maybe you weren't synced with me.
Well, you passed control to me, so it has to be synced with me.
Well, it could have been off sync a second ago. It doesn't matter. Anyway, White played
Okay.
this move,
Okay. You don't like this
which,
move?
well, it kind of looks like White's trying to attack the L17 group or split it. But look at
Sure.
what happens.
Whoops. So cutting like this.
So Black cuts it,
Huh.
and now White has two groups here.
So. Hmm. So it's kind of tricky because I think this is totally. I think the issue here is actually not with the groups, though. Like, White could have managed this a lot better.
White could have, but the problem with N17 is that it actually does make a new group because it's a night move. It's not solidly connected to O15 and can be cut.
Okay, but then I'll say, isn't this move also making like new groups for black instead of one group? Now it's two.
No, because I was already viewing that as two separate groups for Black. Like a three space extension is not connected.
Okay, but if you, mm, but you're saying white shouldn't play A, right?
I don't think so. I think it's too thin a connection.
Yeah, yeah, but if white shouldn't play A or can't play A, then you
Mm-hmm.
can't split the group.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
Implying
then
that the Black group is one group on top.
if you think A is yeah, if you think white can't play this move, then you have to say that black is one group. I think because there's no other way to split it.
Okay,
Well, I
that's
guess
fine.
technically there is. You could split it this way, right, with the double honey. But like aside from that, um,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is interesting. I haven't read the whole thing out, but my first thought is, what if white Ataris and connects? Then black has to add a move in the corner somewhere, and then
Yeah.
this kind of fight is a lot more manageable than the fight in the game.
This looks like it could be more of a trade, or I'm assuming Black would play K17 or the Hane like he did in the game
Oh, instead
to
of
save his stones on the top
now.
instead of 8.
Oh, okay, like this.
Yeah, because he played that in the game.
Yeah, but then what does black do?
Probably has to extend, right?
Well, but then you get sealed, so you have to play something like this. But then the cut is very painful, and you can't really. Can you win this? Yeah, it looks like you
Looks a
win
bit
this.
iffy.
Yeah, so I guess white should cut here and then just take this down.
And
right?
then that would give black the opportunity to go over to the right side and maybe
Yeah, or
O
just extend.
13 or
Let's just
something.
say white extends then. Black has to defend this cut. Well, this is great for white, right?
Yeah, this is pretty good for white.
Right. Both sides have two groups. One, well, in this fighting, there's the two stones here, but let's not worry about those.
Yeah, yeah.
There's two groups here, but then white also has two groups here. But white's groups are clearly stronger because this space and there's more space. Like white's ahead in this running fight, and white's ahead in this running fight. And white has more ice shape. So I don't really dislike the knight move by itself. It does seem
more of the local technique.
Well, yes, I kind of know what you're saying about the mini groups though, and if this corner was a slightly different shape, I agree that this would be more troublesome, right? For like if there was a black stone, if this was just connected, right, then that whole sequence doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is more of just like a general strategic mistake, but it's not really necessarily with the groups. It's more with the intention.
Okay.
Right.
The intention of attacking this L17 shape when Q15 is not yet alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think white should be more concerned about how to fix or do something with this group. I guess white's doing something is splitting, but that seems rather bold. Of course, the easy, nice reading is like this, right? And you're like, oh, I let black connect, but I get my center strength a lot better, right? Let's go back a little bit because something about this shape is not right.
Yeah, can we actually go back
like this?
Was yeah.
Sorry, too far?
Maybe we could talk about from K5 because I thought that this was an interesting point.
K5.
After K5 is played and white defends the left.
Unless you have a letter here.
Yeah. I thought it would be interesting to think about what's the most important place here. Is A weak group? Is it not a weak group?
Okay. Yeah, well, does A have eyes?
No.
No.
And it doesn't have a base either.
Right. However, is there, this is not, is there any other weak group for white?
Yeah, in the upper right, I would say that's a weak group.
Yeah, if you compare the two, which one's worse?
Well, they're kind of different because A has some space to like play in3 or jump into the center, but the upper right has strength because it has a lot of solid stones connected, lots of liberties.
Liberties don't make you stronger, right? The shortage of liberties can make you weaker, so that's like 4 or less liberties, or less than 4 liberties, but having more liberties doesn't make you any stronger, right?
It looks stronger to me.
Okay, I'm gonna put a stone here. Then. Is it stronger? It's a little stronger, but
no, not really.
It is a little stronger. It's a little stronger, but because it can make it, it has better eye potential right here. But it's because it's related to eyes. But the really easy way, I don't want to do what we did last time with tons of examples, but you imagine there's a group that's under attack. It has one eye here, right? Oh, I think she's away for a bit. Whoops.
One sec.
Okay.
It did, yeah.
Oh, well. So what I'll keep talking for the sake of the video, but if you see that black has this group here.
Okay.
No matter how many extra moves. Oh, welcome back. Right? So like each move that I add to black here gives it an extra liberty.
That's true.
And no matter how many of these extra moves I give it, it doesn't change in its strength because it only has one eye.
Yes, that's true.
Right? So the liberties are extra liberties don't help. Now, but shortage of liberties does matter because if you're short on liberties, then maybe you have an eye down here, right? And you're connected up like this, but then because this thing is short on liberties, it can be cut in either side.
Yeah.
Right? And
Then it can't actually have two eyes.
Right, because this cut is sente. Yeah. Whoops.
Sorry, well, then it also matters in like capturing races, right?
And capturing. So liberties matter in capturing races, but that's because both sides are liberty. They're fighting over liberties. But
you don't really talk about strength or weakness in that situation, though.
Right. So the key thing is not to look at the liberties; it's to look at the particular eye shape, right? Or potential eye shape in space. So the bottom one, I would say, has a potential eye in the middle because that's very hard to take away. And it has base, potential base, and can run, right?
Yeah, it's got a lot of options.
Yeah. But the upper right, it's already pincered here, right? And the pincer is even reinforced. So there's not, it has a little bit of eye potential here, but it's not very much.
Yeah.
The corner's here, so that's not much. And this stone in the center, it's out, but in terms of directions, it can only run this way, which is not great. The reason it's not great is because if you're running this way, black will be running on top here. And those exchanges, black's going to be making points. Black can run down, but then you're running into like a rock with this, right? This group over here, it can run to the right, which is more of a reduction because the space is thinner than this space. Or it can run up this way to try to reinforce with, like, connect up. Or it can run into the most open space, the center. This one can run to the center, but it can't run this way. And then running up top is kind of hard. But actually, it's very important. Let's say black decides to take the base. Then getting to come to the top is very valuable. Because
the running direction of the bottom group is now going to help our overall position. Is that what you're saying?
The running direction of the bottom group?
Yeah, because we'll be running towards our own space / development.
No, it's kind of like, right now, the upper right, how would you help this group?
If I wanted to help it, I'd probably play your move at N16. I like that move because it's developing.
Is there any other way you can help it?
You could also help it by playing R13 to make an eye.
Would you really play that in a game,
or by jumping into the center, like M15.
I don't think you'd really play R13 in a game, though.
If I needed to make an eye immediately, like if I was surrounded or something.
No, but like, okay, but think about like sort of the same quality of move, right? Is there any other move as good as N16 in the upper right?
Well, maybe N17.
Okay, but this is the same direction.
Yeah.
Sure. So, but like, how about like jumping here?
That's not something I would think of. That feels strange.
Here.
That seems really strange.
Yeah, I think so too. It's kind of thin and floaty and not doing much. How about the bottom group though? How many ways can you help that?
Well, 3. I'd say, like you outlined. 2 base moves and moving into the center.
But like, I would really only say 2 of them are realistic moves. Jumping here again or making a base.
That's true. Like 2 would be my top option.
But upper right, there's only really one option. So if black comes here, this group's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to make it... So this upper right is heavier and has less options. It's weaker.
So if we were to like label them, would that bottom group be a B group and the upper right would be C? Like
yes, I would exactly say that. Yeah, I'd say this is a B group and this is a C group. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we could talk about like what's most important place to play, and that would for black be to pressure the upper right group.
Yeah, definitely to pressure the upper right group because this is the kind of the weak point in white's overall formation, and this is a place that white can't really let these stones go because they're none of black's moves, none of these exchanges are really bad for black, right? White didn't profit anything.
Loss.
If these get caught, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so sometimes we talk about like what's lighter and what's not light. Light stones have to have already filled a function, so then you can give them up. But these stones haven't really done anything yet. So for instance, like maybe white peeps here. Then we can say, oh, well, move 3 is that really doing anything? Probably not. So if we lose move 2, we're not really losing anything because it was exchanged with another move that didn't really do much. But 2 could also potentially be helpful to make a base, right? So 2 would be an example of a light stone. It's something we can give up. But the upper right, none of these exchanges, maybe this exchange is kind of nothing, but that they're directly connected, so it's not like you can really give it up. So this whole thing is too big. It's too heavy.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
And so definitely right here, even more important than this move, white's most important place is to reinforce the upper right somehow. That'd be my my feeling.
And what is like the really big downside of not reinforcing it? Like, what if you play somewhere else because you think it's big?
So
like F17 or something like that.
So
or
if,
like
if it's Black's turn, well, in the game Black played here. Okay, that makes it even more complicated. But so the downside is that you go from a position where you could be getting not free, but an attack. So an attack is just like when you're making exchanges, your moves are better than your opponent's moves, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I should put an example of that. So like if Black plays here, White has to help the group. One of the reasons we tell people don't push from behind usually is because, yes, each of these pushes is helping the White group, but every push Black is getting 3+ points, right?
Right, so Black's just profiting directly.
Right. This profit is generally more valuable than the potential here, because this potential White's only doing things to make eyes. There's no real like Moyo or any framework White can make because of these stones over here. So that's why, like that, if that happened, Black could say, "Oh, that was a successful attack." If you're White,
that
you
makes sense. White stones are only serving the group; they don't have any other function.
Right, they're not long-term profitable or efficient. So White wouldn't push, White would play here, but then if we just compare the two moves, yes, this is more useful for making eyes, but this move is directly some concrete profit later, and remember Black's corner had some Aji, so now there's no Aji, and it has potential on the top.
Yeah.
And then here Black can continue, right? This move is normally small, one space jump, but it's taking away the base, and whatever White has to do to fix the shape will be less profitable than the little bit that Black got here. Right? So then all these moves sort of add up, right? These little gains, and every little step is more efficient for Black. So that would be like an attack. And so when Black plays away, it's kind of just like opportunity cost. Black loses all that, and then now White has a bit more control at the top side.
So you'd have White respond by taking care of his group and ignoring C14.
I mean, that's really hard. So this position, I guess, goes back to your original thing, right? You're saying maybe White just has too many groups.
Yeah, after the top one was created.
Yeah, I think right now even White has too many groups. This group and this group, they're not doing anything. They're not coordinated with anything, right? So
yeah.
One thing to think about in Go, because a lot of players, especially SDK level, have this issue where they're like, well, of course my stones are doing something. Otherwise, this whole space would be Black space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to remember, like, say, once you get to the end of the game... Did they count this one? Okay. So at the end of the game, there's only 2 kinds of situations. Well, three situations, I guess. There's territory you surrounded, right? So that's, like, one of the better ways. There's stuff that died. And then there's things like, is there an example here? Well, look at this big clump of Black here, right?
Yeah, a lot of stones that aren't contributing, I guess, to the score.
Well, they are contributing. As the people say, they are taking points away from White. But would you rather your stones be in this kind of clumpy shape at the end of the game, or spread out somehow like this, right? These are almost the same number of stones, just at a glance. 10, 5, 10, 15 stones, and this is like 5, 10, 15 stones. Yeah, and and then the one on the right, these are covering actual space, right?
Right.
Where the ones on the left, they're not. They're literally just filled in. So
yeah.
Then we look at the game position, and we see, how in the world can this group possibly surround any space?
Yeah, it can't unless it surrounds the top.
Yeah,
So the big concern is that they would turn into like Dame stones.
yeah, they turn into Dame 0 point moves. Same thing with down here though. This group 2 is kind of like hard to turn into a space. So you can't make it like, of course you're going to have some stones, right, that end up like clumpy like that. That's kind of inevitable. But early on in the game, you want to be make mapping out your space more than you want to be taking stuff away, because of course let's look at like at the end of the game, like of course these ones on one side, there might be like a bunch of white stones over here, right? So they end up being dominant with each other, but the other function is like on this side, right? They're making points. This one, black's on both sides, so there's no way that this group can make points, but black got the points on both sides. So it's not like black lost anything either.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's the same on the bottom too. White has
No, the bottom's
no
different.
potential.
It's true, white doesn't have potential, but it's different. This stone and this stone are actually very similar, right? This stone is a Dame stone. This stone doesn't do anything. It can't get points. It can only take away from white. Right? Like, it's not going to be part of surrounding anything. Similar with these ones.
Those are the ones I was referring to.
Yeah, I know you're referring to these ones. But the top one is also not going to be making any points. Unless you, like, build something in the center. Or you get two moves. You get, like, this one and then this one. Right?
Oh, okay. I think I see what you're saying.
Right? If it's just this one, this stone up here isn't going to do anything extra. You might get, like, 1 point here, but it's very, very little. So already we can see that white stones are very inefficient. Like, of course you're going to end up with stones that just reduce. At the end of the game, you're mostly just playing moves to go in and reduce. But early on, white needs to be aware of the Dame moves, right? Mm-hmm. So this move... Now, I'm not saying this move is bad, right? But it's going to be Dame at the end. But it's very valuable, because if I take this move off, right, and white plays here, let's say here, then you can see, oh, these are no longer Dame. They're all being useful.
They're all valuable. Yeah.
Right? So when black jumps here, what is the timing? Yeah, so this jump is okay, because its value is the same as A and prevents that... It's preventing A from linking up, right? So it's not like it's a loss. I'm not saying it's bad in this context. I'm just saying you have to be aware of the stones that are Dame, right? So if you're making a bunch of Dame stones like this one over here, that already puts you in a bad position.
Over there, if you contrast the two positions...
Over where?
Black doesn't have any Dame in the upper right.
Nope.
But the bottom one, K5 and F5 are kind of equal in that they both will probably be Dame, so there's no loss for black in
there's case. No loss for black. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So, like, let's say black plays a move like this. This, of course, we're talking like it's Dame, not Dame, but everything's like on a spectrum, right? So this stone is only valuable if O15 wasn't going to build potential into this direction.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But even then, we have to think about, is O15 building potential in this direction, better than the moves at the top? And the answer is just no. This
Probably
one is not. It's going to take a lot longer for it to build the whole corner side center thing.
Yeah.
So then this is just fundamentally putting white in a hard spot. Now, why did white become like this is a different question, right? It goes back to your group thing. When you make a lot of groups early, right, typically they're spread out, because otherwise you'd be like, well, these are two groups, but we don't really think of them as two groups, right?
Yeah, not really.
Because they have this like potential to be connected and they're kind of interacting. So if you make a lot of groups early, though, and you kind of identify them as separate groups, that is kind of going back to your earlier thing. That's a key. That usually is a sign that you're not playing in a very good way. So so this was kind of already blundery from the beginning. That's why I kind of wanted to look at this. So actually, that tells us a lot about how white should play here, though, right? Because black made this pincer, so white has.
But his stones are in danger of becoming Dame. He's between two positions.
Yes, white's stones are in danger of becoming Dame, so white has to do something with them. or sacrifice them, I guess, is another option. But if we want to do something with them, we have to do it in a way that they don't become dame.
Right.
So when white plays this exchange, oh look, right here. If we go here,
That's on the
we're
side.
between the two
It
things.
contributes, yeah.
Yeah. But if we're here, then black should answer, and then we could go down and do the PB stuff or whatever. But I'll just play the tiger. Tiger's kind of bad shape, but something to keep it simple. But we can already see, okay, so this exchange, we could say is dame, but it's dame for both, right? It's pushing black down a line.
Yeah.
Right? And white, now these stones have potential. They are able to coordinate and sort of, we could see already they might surround a space, right? Or help to surround a space.
Well, at least they don't look like a weak, pointless group now.
I mean, they're still a little weak, but sure. Now maybe black's idea is like, I'm going to keep them dame. I'm going to squish it on all sides so there's just a little crusty group here, right? But in practice, that's not possible or easy because look, white gets this move, which is definitely not dame, definitely valuable. And then these are going to run together, right? That's why running together is a profitable attacking strategy because you get the one move extra over here, and then all the extra moves are dame that run together.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
you benefit on the one instance, and all the rest are sort of like cancel each other out.
Yeah, in general, but you have to read it farther out. Like if we just keep jumping, yeah, of course in a vacuum all of these are kind of the same, but in practice, right? If there was no stone here, right, we might say this is a little bit better for black. It depends, but might be because the black stones influence a bigger space. It
that's
depends.
hard to like calculate.
Yeah, but because there's a black stone on the right, we could also say, oh, but if white comes in here, this stone is now going to be dame or dead. So obviously, dead stone is really bad because you basically made a pass somewhere, if it's captured in this big way. If it's a dame stone, then you went from coordinating like this to now just like having to link up like super small. That's why this kind of linking up is pretty poor. And we can see that these stones that were dame already got some profit back, where these ones haven't made it back, at least not as solidly.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so it's really important to think about the efficiency of stones in terms of like how they're going to end up at the end of the game. And then, of course, you can't avoid dame stones, especially if your opponent forces it, right? Like, oh, it's unavoidable once black plays 4 that this will have some dame element. But that doesn't mean it's bad for you. It just means that you have to be aware of the exchanges, right? How they pair up. Does that... What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question itching me, though.
Uh-huh.
When black approached at c14, is it possible to compare the value of black getting to play another move in the upper left, where white tanukis to save his group on the upper right, which make it stronger?
Yeah.
Versus getting the attack on the group? Or do you just consider a weak group like an infinite source of valuable profit?
That's not infinite, for sure. I mean, so here's the thing. There's not really a way to say which is... Well, there's a way to deduce what's more important. It's just really hard to put a value on that. The way to deduce what's more important is say, okay, it's white's turn. So let's assume that this attack is more valuable. Okay?
Okay.
So then we say, I play here, black. And then black is going to say the opposite. Black's going to assume that this is the more valuable one, right? So they're saying whose is more important, right? So if we play here, then black will play here to attack it, and we're saying no, this is more valuable, and then black says no, this is more valuable, and then you just judge who you think is better, right? And then you can go the opposite way. We could say, oh, actually, I think as white, this is more valuable, and black will say the stone over the attack, the tension here is more valuable, right?
Yeah, right.
So then we say white goes here to reinforce, then black says, I'm going to attack, and white's like, oh, but so if white does this wrong, it can be bad, right? White could say, if white thinks this is valuable because it's attacking the corner, it'll be bad because the corner is not that weak, without a lot of deep reading. So then I would say, yeah, this is pretty much better for black than this situation here. But if white's aware that the reason this is more valuable is because white needs to reinforce the group, then white says, oh, I finished reinforcing this for now.
Yeah.
So now I can come back and handle the left side however you want to handle it. So the upper left side. So the key is to think about it from both people's perspective and the reason why it's valuable. So yeah.
You're ultimately
I'm sorry, you cut out. Hi. Hello? She's like gone. Super weird. Well, so I'm just gonna try to assume her sentence, I guess. So ultimately you're comparing, different intentions on which group people think is better. So like if white says this one is enough, because white's not interested in attacking a stone, white just wants to reinforce the corner, then one is enough, right? As long as black, because if then black answers, you can answer. So then when black plays here, then you can go elsewhere, right? And we say, now we have to compare this position, and we assume this exchange since black has it still. This seems reasonable for both to me. I think I would still prefer to just reinforce the group first and then play here, though. Because this one seems clearly like the weakest thing is okay, and this stone is helping in the fight over here. I don't know what happened to Inazuma. She seems to have lost her connection or something. Yeah, but so yeah, I think that kind of covers that. So I'm kind of interested, like, yeah. So this is the part where white kind of made a lot of dame moves, and then if black was very astute, black wouldn't give white the chance, right, to handle this. So then maybe you get something like this, but white's group is very, or maybe this is better. White's group is kind of, now it's not dame, but it's just inefficient. It's very small compared to the top part and the bottom right. Okay, well, I guess I'll stop the video here for now since we lost Inazuma. But I think we covered a lot of interesting topics and ideas just in this short space. Cool. Thank you very much. Catch you next time.